Unravel the secrets of the royal family and the tragic destiny that befalls them. Begin with the mysterious connection between the protagonist and the ancient Queen Diana, whose story eerily mirrors her own. Welcome to the Alpha's Love channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Chapter 29. Okay, this is good. Right. We're making progress. I muttered. I guess now we just keep trying to find more information. How to defeat the creatures, if that's possible, I guess. Okay, the others said in unison. We split up our time for the rest of the week between the vault in the library and the forgotten ancient rooms in the castle. There were a lot more books than I thought there would be. We all spent hours poring over the ancient documents and recounts of how life was in the beginning. The story of Queen Diana was eerily similar to my own. She was never meant to be queen or mate with King Aelfred. She was an ordinary commoner who ended up finding out she was the daughter of Artemis. Much the same way I did. In the time before mating, while we were still young, the brave Diana fought alongside King Aelfred to defeat the creatures that threatened the very existence of all wolfkind. They fell madly in love, and the king had her crowned queen after the Battle of Winterlake. Their wedding ceremony, which I suppose is now our mating ceremony, was the largest and most lavish wedding ever held. Guests travelled from all over the wolf realm to attend. Her gown is the same gown that all queens and future queens would wear for their mating ceremony. As the couple approached the 3rd anniversary on the throne together, Queen Diana fell pregnant with their first child, the future King Edward. There were complications during the delivery and she died, leaving King Aelfred miserable and depressed until his death 20 years later. It was shortly after this, when Artemis noticed the complete wretchedness of the king, that she changed how we lived. She was moved by the love and devotion Diana and Aelfred had for one another. It was the same pure love she had for Orion. She remembered the way her heart shattered at Orion's death. This is why we mate for life. That is why we are able to find our mate starting at adulthood, so we can know what it's like to have ourselves whole. It's also why we die if our mate bond is broken by any means besides death. The documents also describe the hatred that Hera had for us. The number of times she attempted to destroy us, in the beginning, is really ridiculous. Between the great evil and the natural disasters she sent to our realm, Artemis was forced to put a protective force field around our realm. A force field that made our entire kingdom invisible to those on the outside. If we were within our protection, how could Hera have found us? She had the ability to shape-shift herself. Though not into wolf form, she could into human form. After her first attack, Zeus forbade her from ever shifting into our form. She was supposed to obey the restrictions on not attacking wolves and those of us who shifted into wolves, but it seems she didn't listen. As the days wore on, I felt a stirring within. My wolf whined as the full moon grew nearer. I know. I've neglected you. She wanted to run. She wanted to be free. I hadn't let her out in so long. None of us had. We were so distracted by the pending doom that we didn't let our wolves run. Hey, I called out to Edmund. Let's run. What? He put down his book and looked up at me. Let's run. My wolf is whining. We're at the full moon tonight. Let's run before our ceremony. He sighed and nodded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Mine has been whining too. I haven't let him have control for a while. Neither have I. We deserted our spots in the old castle and made our way to the lake. I've never ran here before, I said quietly. You'll love it. He smiled at me. I've never shifted in front of anyone before. Neither have I. We watched each other as our bones crushed, first sprouted, and our noses elongated into snouts. His wolf was massive. He was a bit taller than I and much more muscular. His fur was a blackish blue like the night and spotted with silver. He looked like the night sky speckled with stars. His eyes remained the same beautiful hazel as his human form. His wolf lips curled into a smile as his tongue hung out at the side. My inner human laughed at the sight of the prince being a goofy dog. "You're beautiful," I heard within my mind. "What? How can I hear you? We're mates. We can hear each other." "I didn't know that. We haven't mated yet, though." He shrugged his big wolf shoulders, as much as a wolf can shrug. "I don't make the rules." I laughed again as we started to run. The grass was soft beneath my paws. I had never really just ran before. At least not for fun. I let my wolf have full control. She ran as fast as she could. I could feel the muscles tighten and loosen with each step. Our heart beat harder than it ever had. We finally stopped, panting hard, at the edge of the meadow. The forest beyond was dark and ominous. We smelled something. We didn't know what it was, but it was something. My wolf whined and paced in a circle, tucking our tail, waiting for Edmund. "What is that?" I asked. He sniffed the air, shaking his head. "I don't know. I don't like it though. It smells like death. It smells like those things. It's not close though. It's still far off. I'll tell Dad and send a platoon of guards out. I think that's a good idea." We turned and ran back to the castle. I didn't know how far I'd let my wolf run, but it must have been quite a distance. We grew tired only halfway back. That lake is going to be great to jump in. The scent of the water hit our nose first. It gave us the motivation we needed to run back. As we neared the edge of the lake, we jumped, landing with a large, loud splash. My wolf lapped up the water as we doggy paddled around. "To my agent extraordinaire, lineage.丨heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Clean, clear water felt and tasted so good. I could hear Redmond laughing in my mind. We turned in the water until we saw him standing on the edge of the water. "Get in. It's really nice. I see this." He took a few steps back before leaping in with me. We doggy paddled around, splashing and howling until the sun began to set. "What on earth is this Richard have been up to? Oh my goddess. Guests are going to be arriving soon. Will you two get ready?" Queen Amelia shouted, stomping across the grass. I emerged from the pond still in wolf form. I bowed my head and turned toward the castle. "To my agent extraordinaire, lineage.丨heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Your clothes. Right." I hurried to the 2 piles and scooped my nap in my teeth before trotting inside. Edmund followed close behind. "Eleanor, get yourself into that shower now," my mother scolded. "Really, child? Of all days for you to run off and play, your mating ceremony day." My wolf rolled her eyes at Mom. "I know that you rolling those eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, lineage.丨heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Some queen she'll be," Harmony said from behind me. My wolf turned with a warning growl. "Oh, real nice. Growl at me. Harmony, go downstairs. I told you if you started, you were leaving. You're only here because Alex had to be here. Now go." Edmund growled low as she passed him. Mother sighed heavily and ushered us both into the bathroom quickly. "Just shower and bath. Both of you, and not together. You're not mated yet." Edmund and I both laughed at one another. As she shut the door, we shifted back into our human form, seeing one another for the first time. Chapter 30. You smell like a dog. I laughed, turning on the shower. "Not as much as you," Edmund said, glancing at me as I stepped into the large glass enclosure. "Do you, want to get in with me?" I asked nervously. I've never showered with anyone before." I'm sure it's the same as showering alone, but with someone in the shower with you. We both glanced around the room while washing ourselves. It was the closest I'd ever been to a without clothes man. I did my best to not look at him, which was ridiculous. We were about to mark one another. This was going to become our norm. Are you okay? Reaching for his soap. I'm good. I'm fine. You sure? Yup. Al, you're as red as a tomato and staring at the ceiling. Oh, I know. You can look at me, yup. Not going to. Not yet. Nervous. Just a little bit. He chuckled lightly and rinsed himself as I washed my face. My heart thudded in my chest when his hand brushed my shoulder. My inner wolf whined and pawed to get out. Nope. You stop that. Knocking interrupted us as we finished up. Are you done? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Edmund called out. Are you both in there? The voice asked. Yes, we were told to shower, so we showered. Yes, together. Disgusting. The voice said. Harmony. Get out of my suite. You don't own the castle. Stop being a damn brat. Get out. Edmund roared over her. She does own the suite. It is our room, not yours. Harmony. For the love of Goddess. Why can't you just stop? Go to the ballroom. Now, I heard Mother yell at her. I believe King Ors and will have a conversation with her later. I heard the soft voice of Queen Amelia drift through the door once the water was off. I've heard it with her. Edmund, I swear I'm going to kill her. Calm down. Love. I know. She's really trying my patience too. Did we have to invite her? She's Alex's mate. We did. I sighed heavily. Did he have to come? He's just as bad. Edmund wrapped a towel around my body and pulled me close. I think I stopped breathing when I felt his hot, wet flesh against mine. He at least knows when to hold his tongue and knows his place in the ranking. Your sister is an asshole, to put it kindly. I can't believe you two are related. Neither can I. I took a deep breath. I guess we really aren't. She's just Wolf. And the daughter of Artemis who just hitched a ride for 9 months. Edmund laughed and wrapped a towel around his waist. Are we allowed to do our own hair? Who knows? I mumbled. We haven't been able to decide anything else, so I'm going to say nope. Okay. You two. Let's get moving. Queen Amelia called. It's not getting any earlier. Guests are arriving. We're coming. Edmund. Out there. Thid and the other men will help you dress and try to do something with your hair. Queen Amelia sighed. It's always such a mess. He shook his head and sauntered to the other side of the room. And Ellie, my dear. Let's get you dressed in that beautiful silver hair done. The housemaids closed the bedroom door and got to work on turning me into a princess. I was handed new white, lace undergarments to change into. They had me sit at a chair in front of my vanity mirror as Vince, the Queen's stylist, stepped behind me. Hello, Cupcake. Let's make you a queen. Princess, I corrected. Let's make you as beautiful as a queen. He laughed. You're the master. Damn right. I am. I sat as he moved all around my head, curling and trick it up to while another, younger woman, concentrated on my face. Is there a lot of sparkle to the gown? It's hanging over there. Dear, a plump, older woman wearing a long black maid's uniform said. Oh, that's old. It's from the beginning times. It is Queen Diana's wedding gown. Wedding. The ceremony they had before the marking ceremony. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. Yeah, it's retro. It's vintage. I can work with that. She pulled various eyeshadow palettes from a bag and held them up before settling on to different ones. It felt like an eternity before they finished. The sun is nearly down, Queen Amelia announced. We need to finish and get the prince and princess to the ballroom. The dress. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Taunt woman snapped at a younger girl who stood in a corner. She nervously picked up the dress and brought it to me, helping me step into it as a rush of ladies came forward to snap and lace everything into place. The soft fabric felt nice against my skin. The delicate shoes, which were new, were slipped onto my feet before I was taken to a full-length mirror. Wow, I said, staring at myself. I can't believe this is me. I heard my mom gasp and sniffle. Ma, you just look so beautiful. Like a princess. That's because she's a princess. Except for one thing, Queen Amelia said. What? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She held up a tall black box. I took the lid off and my eyes grew as wide as saucers. The most beautiful tiara rested on a blue pillow within. King Orsan's great-great-grandfather had this made for his queen for their marking ceremony. Ever queen, or princess, since then has worn it on this incredibly wonderful and special day. Your Majesty, nope. You do not call me that. What? I looked at her puzzled. Non, what? Call me non. Ray. She nodded, a tear sliding down her face. If that's okay with you. She looked at my mother. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I would be honored. I've always wanted a daughter. And Ellie, you are everything I dreamed a daughter would be. I would love it if you called me Mom. I nodded and burst into tears before hugging both women. No tears. The young woman yelled, storming to me. Your mascara and Ida will run. She patted my cheeks and dug through her box again. I guess we are going with waterproof. I wasn't expecting tears. The room burst into laughter as she touched up my already streaked makeup before we left the bedroom to find Edmund standing there in his outfit. Wow, we both said. You look incredible. He gushed. You're so handsome, Edmund. Oh, my baby, Queen Amelia sobbed. Her crying just triggered my own mother to start crying. Why is there so much crying in here? King Orson asked, popping his head in. Everyone's waiting. Sorry. Our babies. She continued to sob. You too. You look like royalty. We are. Dad Edmund laughed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You look breathtaking. Thank you, Your Majesty. Nope. It's dead now. I nodded, trying to hold back the tears. Now let's go before we have a castle full of angry wolves. Sweetheart. My father hugged me tight, kissing my cheek. You are absolutely gorgeous. My baby. Thanks, Dad. Are you ready? I nodded. We have 2 hours till the full moon rises. Let's go eat, drink and be merry, Queen Amelia stated. We walked to the ballroom, the same ballroom Edmund and I had met in not long ago. How was I to know that evil creatures invading our land would lead me to my mate and to the throne of all wolfdom? Dear, after we're introduced, we need to talk, King Orson whispered to me. It's about our friends to the north. Oh yes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What friends? Edmund asked. I'll tell you later. He pursed his lips and nodded. Are you ready? Phil asked, standing in his finest tux, smiling at Edmund and me. Yes, yeah. Edmund looked at me. His face was flushed and I could hear his heart thumping like a hummingbird's wings within his chest. Yes, okay. Here goes. He motioned for the two guards to open the doors and step forward before heralding us in. Ladies and gentlemen, Beta Kenrick and Lady Catherine of Moonmist. Everyone within the ballroom gave the appropriate applause. Their Majesties, King Orsand and Queen Amelia. The room erupted into cheers and applause. They really were beloved by all the realm. And finally, after a long wait, their Royal Highnesses, Prince Edmund and Princess Eleanor. I could feel goosebumps traveling up my arms as we stepped into the spotlight. There were hushed whispers and gaps before the applause started, then the cheers. And finally, the entire room erupted into complete joy. I saw Ashley standing near a table jumping up and down, crying and shouting. Harmony stood there, arms crossed, glaring at me. Alex clapped but kept his gaze down. Music started once we reached the middle of the room. I looked around, confused, as Edmund grasped my hand and pulled me close. We danced. He twirled me around the room as people clamored to watch. It was the first time I really felt like a princess. The music shifted to another song and everyone was invited to join us. Another go. Yeah, let's have another go. We danced for hours it seemed. When we finally stopped, Edmund walked me to the table. I'll get us drinks. I nodded and sat down. Oh my goddess. Look at you. You're a freaking princess. Ashley screamed, hugging me. I know. It's crazy, right? This is all crazy. This isn't real. Congratulations, Alistair said while bowing. Thank you. Congratulations. I mean Princess Eleanor. Thanks. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I mumbled, not looking at him. Whatever. Let's go. Harmony snapped, grabbing Alex by the hand and dragging him away. Do you want me to beat her up? I can beat her up. No, I'm not letting her misery ruin today. Edmund returned with my drink and we talked with Ashley and Alistair until the music stopped. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The full moon is at its peak, Queen Amelia announced. And we all know what time that means. You ready? Edmund asked. I nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. He took my hand and led me to the balcony. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's an incredible thing to find your mate. It's like filling a hole you had no idea was empty. We walked through the heavy drapes, watching as two guards closed them and more stood at the entrance ensuring our privacy. No, a scream came from somewhere within the ballroom. You have to be kidding. Edmund groaned. This has to stop. Edmund, I love you. Is that how did she even get in here? Savannah. I peeked through the curtains and watched as people gasped. She looked like a fool in a bright pink taffeta gown. It's my turn. This is my ball. I'm the princess. I'm the princess. She screamed. She managed to make it halfway across the room before the guards wrangled her, and all of her dressy poofed back out. It looks like she's gone. That girl is a hotness. Yeah. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. So, no more interruptions. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Who goes first? He smiled at me, pulling me close. I do. I could feel a strong tingly, almost lightning-like feeling surge through my body. His hot breath on my neck sent shudders down my spine, and I braced for the pain. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. There was none. There was no pain as he sunk his fangs into the crook of my neck. My body warmed and numbed as his essence coursed deep through my veins. He pulled back slowly, staring into my eyes. Did it hurt? I shook my head. He tilted his head, ready to accept my mark. I swallowed hard and tried to steady my breathing. He smelled so good, almost like I was running through a cinnamon field. If there were cinnamon fields, that spice and earth smell, the same strong smell the first time I'd seen him. I closed my eyes and sunk my fangs into the crook of his neck, feeling the electricity move from my body to his. I pulled back and looked at him. Did it hurt you? He shook his head. I feel alive. I nodded my head. Me too. I don't know how else to describe it. My soul feels full. He laughed lightly. That's the perfect way to describe it. I'm full. Do we just go back? He pulled me back into his body, gazing into my eyes. In a moment, he lowered his head so his lips brushed mine. I love you. I love you, too, he said. He closed the gap, pressing his mouth to mine. After a long moment, he broke our connection. Okay, now we go back. We re-emerged from the balcony to cheers from our guests. Congratulations. People shouted. There were even a few howls. We made our way around the room, shaking people's hands and talking with dignitaries when it caught my eye. The man in black. He stood in the same corner with the same dark hat and the same dark hat. He motioned me to follow him. Edmund noticed and looked down at me. It's the friend. He nodded at me. Tell me later. I will. Promise. He kissed my cheek as I excused myself, following the man into the hallway. Princess, he said softly, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He nodded. Good. You found each other. Shall we go to my study? King Or's End didn't really ask. He turned and led us down the hallway. I know this was a long chapter. Thank you for sticking with it till the end. What do you think? Harmony is a giant butthole. Savannah is still crazy. And can we trust Andrew? If you liked the chapter, make sure you like, comment, and share the story with your friends. Chapter 31. Andrew removed his hat and dipped into a low bow. Princess Eleanor, sir. Okay. King Orson started, sitting down. Let's talk, quickly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm so sorry we're doing this today of all days. It's quite all right. This is something we need to talk about. Is it true? Andrew asked. Is what true? I questioned. I'm sorry again. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I told him about King Orson, nodded his head. It was necessary. Please, believe me when I say you can trust me, just as much as I trust you. You trust me. Why? I just do. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. So what's going on? There have been more attacks, Andrew said. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To our agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Just north of here. Do we know who it was? The body recovered was not Wolf, Andrew told me. So what was it? The body we found was human. Is it just the one? We found a few on travels here. King Ors and shook his head while standing and pacing around the office. I don't understand how they're even getting into my kingdom. A human hasn't set foot here in millennia. Or sand. Calm yourself, my friend. This is just something I was never prepared for. The last rulers to even see a human were King Iana. The beginning, yes. The big question is, how did a human get into our realm? We have no idea. A human has never been able to get to the protective layer. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I pursed my lips and stared out the window behind King Orsand. The sky was clear and filled with stars. The moon hung high in the sky in all of its full moon glory. Humans have made it into our realm. A human has not stepped foot here in millennia. How is this possible? If they can't come here on their own, then someone had to have let them in. But we protected by our goddess. Yes, but someone had to let them in. That is the only logical explanation. I closed my eyes, focusing deep within myself. I could feel the mark grow warm on my head. I opened my eyes as light emanated from me. It encompassed the entire room and Artemis stepped forward. What is this magic? Andrew cried out in surprise. She smiled. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You are not pleased. Something is wrong. I nodded. How will humans be able to cross the barrier from their land to ours? Humans. It's impossible. They cannot. I beg pardon, your great goddess, but we found one. Artemis spun on her heels to look at Andrew. She narrowed her eyes and stared at him for a long moment, almost like she was trying to remember him. You found another human. Yes, goddess. She strode to the window that I was just staring at and stared off into the distance. There is no earthly power that can allow a human here. Then how I cut King Ors and off before he could finish. No earthly. So there is a god-like power that can. She shook her head slowly. I want to deny that she would disobey orders directly from Zeus himself, but she's never been one to listen. She nodded again. I am sorry. My daughter, it is going to be up to you to defeat her. I have to defeat her. Yes, how? How does someone fight a goddess? There are 2 relics. Relics lost to time that you will need to locate. What are they? The sword that King Aelfred wielded during that first battle. The sword of Apollo. And the bow Queen Diana carried. My bow. Oh, we already have those. What? Andrew asked. We found those in the vault like yesterday. Then the easy part is over. You will have to learn how to shoot my bow and you will need the most trusted wolf to wield the sword. I shall carry the sword, Andrew exclaimed. Artemis looked at him then back at me, smiling no. You cannot, for he who carries the sword will need to be one with she who carries the bow. They must fight as one soul, one heart, one wolf. I sighed heavily and looked at King Orsand. Edmund. Artemis nodded. Yes, that is why Aelfred and my darling Diana were successful. They did not fight as 2. They fought as one. Their souls joined, and they defeated the darkness that threatened them all. Edmund. He's not a warrior, King Orsand said. He must learn. I believe there is a warrior pack just to the north of you that can teach them. Their wolf instinct should help to quicken the learning. Even with wolf instinct, my warriors have been training their entire lives. We can handle here. You, a mere mortal wolf, can handle the queen of Mount Olympus. Well, I mean, yes. You over my daughter. You over a living goddess. Goddess. Me am I. I never thought about that. I mean, if you put it that way, maybe not. My daughter may appear to be a mere mortal, but she's endowed with my powers. She just has to learn to tap into them. Yes, my daughter. She stepped forward, and for the first time since I learned of my crazy parentage, she kissed my forehead. It felt odd, unexplainable really, and vanished. You argued with Artemis, King Orson said, staring at Andrew. I did. Why would you argue with Artemis? I have a death wish. King Orson shook his head. We need to return to the ceremony. What do we do? You and Edmund go north. Train and then we fight. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We returned to the ceremony in darker moods. While the drink flowed and people danced, my mind was a million miles away. I knew Edmund could tell, but he didn't say anything. He stayed near me all night, kissing my forehead and holding my hand. How do I tell him about all of this? We just had our marking ceremony and I haven't told him any of this stuff with the warrior pack. What about going north to prepare to battle fucking here? He whispered, leading me to the dance floor. What? Everything troubling you? We have to leave. Leave? What? To go where? North. To the secret warrior pact to prepare to battle Hera. I'm sorry. What? It's a lot to unpack. I don't even know what any of that means. I sighed heavily. I know. We'll talk more when we're alone. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm trusting you. Not me. Your father. And Andrew. Who the hell is Andrew? I sighed heavily again. Leader of that secret ancient warrior pack. They're ancient now. Well, Chapter 32. What's wrong? Ashley asked, dancing her and Alistair next to us. Oh, nothing. I mumbled, laying my head on Edmund's shoulder. Something is wrong. What is it? You can't lie to me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I know you. I looked at Edmund and he shrugged. Okay, so we're leaving. Leaving. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Where are you going? Why are you leaving? Keep your voice down. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Where are you going? She whispered. We have to head north. Let's go somewhere to talk, Alistair suggested. Good idea. We strolled through the ballroom, saying hello and pretending everything was wonderful. I knocked on King Orsan's office door. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. His commanding voice responded, Majesty. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Come in, dear. His smile turning to a frown when he saw Ashley and Alistair. And you brought friends. I did. Forgive me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dad, call me Dad. No need to be formal with family. He smiled at me. Thank you, Dad. I bit my lip before taking a deep breath. I told them. Told whom what? I told Ashley and Alistair about us leaving. Oh yes. Your honeymoon. It is wonderful. Dad, we can't rush them, Edmund said, stepping for W. Ward. Ashley and Alistair have been there with us since the beginning. They can be helpful. Help. How can they help? She's a Galma's daughter and he's a beta. They're not warriors. We might not be warriors, but we can learn to be. Learn. Have you ever fought before? Orson stood, staring Ashley down. Have you ever had to go into battle not knowing if you would survive or if you would even win? Have you ever had to defend all of wolf kind? Well, no, but no. No buts. I cannot let this happen. You're not even listening. Your Majesty, I know you see me as nothing but a beta, but this battle isn't just about warriors fighting. This isn't a far-off battle. This is in our backyard. Our families' lives are in jeopardy, and they don't even know. They have no clue how close the danger is to us. I can't in good conscience send a beta and his mate into battle. We don't have a choice, Dad. Kind Dad, with body showing up close to the palace. I agree with Edmund. We don't have a choice in the matter. What? Edmund? Alistair? And Ashley asked, looking at me. Do you want to tell them? King Orson sighed heavily and sat down. Or who told you about the body? He put his head in his hands. We can at least learn enough to hold them off and help the Blackpool Howlers. The who? Edmund asked. The secret warrior pack to the north of us. Ors and mumbled into his hands. Alistair asked. This cannot leave this room. This has been the biggest secret kept since the beginning times. There is a sixth pack within our realm. A warrior pack that's only called upon when the kingdom is in great peril. Like it is now. I added. Yes, and their alpha. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Kushut's enthusiasm. Found a human body not far from here. A human? Ashley asked in astonishment. How did a human get in here? We don't know. It's not the first one either. Artemis thinks that Hera is behind this whole thing. As in, Queen of all the gods. Yes, that Hera. Wow, okay. So why? She hates Artemis. Long story. Zeus cheats. Artemis was born. We're paying for it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Oh now, why do you have to leave? Alistair asked. Edmund and I are going with Andrew to his pack to train as much as we can before the inevitable battle happens. Are we even sure we have to fight? Ashley asked. It's looking like it. Edmund responded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Alistair grabbed Ashley's hand. Then, as long as His Majesty agrees, we are going. Do I have a choice? Orson asked. No, we all answered. He shrugged his shoulders. Blessing granted. I'll just tell your alpha that I'm having you stay here for a bit to assist with this shit in the library. Alistair nodded. My mom is going to be so mad. Ashley whispered. She can't know. I told her. Yeah, true that. Try to keep things normal for tonight. I have something else to ask. Please, say no if it's inappropriate. Alistair started. What? Edmund asked. I don't want us to go train. Go into battle. Possibly die without having the chance to mark Ashley. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Would you both be upset if we did it tonight? At our ceremony? It was a dumb idea. I'm so sorry. No, it's a great idea, yes. If there is anyone else I would want to share today with, it's you two. I glanced at Edmund. As long as you're okay with it. Yeah, I think it's great. Go for it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Ashley asked. My marking. Tonight. At the Royal Castle. During a huge event. Are you okay with that? Alistair asked. Yes, okay. More marking ceremonies are going to happen, and the biggest secret in the kingdom is no longer a secret. Orson grumbled. Let's go. We made our way back, once again, to the ballroom where it was announced that Alistair and Ashley would have the marking as well. People whispered and looked to us, but quickly changed to applause as I hugged them both and Edmund shook their hands. It was normally taboo to do such things during another wolf's big moment, but with permission and enthusiasm, everybody seemed okay. This is so ridiculous, I heard Harmony say from across the room. Why do it for her when I am her sister? I hate this. I hate her. I hate it all. I watched as my father gripped her shoulder and stood, taking her with him. He leaned down and whispered into her ear. She quietly, but furiously followed him from the ballroom. Hopefully, he's dealing with that mess. Alistair and Ashley exited to the balcony to perform their ceremony as the rest of the guests returned to drinking and dancing. Edmund and I made our way to where Queen Amelia sat. She smiled at us, a tear in the corner of her eye, was and told her. She stood and hugged us both tightly. I love you two so much. And we love you, I whispered back. I know you both will be wonderful and do such great things. I am so proud of you. Thank you. What's going on? My mother asked, walking up. Just a mom who's overly emotional, Queen Amelia said, waving off the whole thing while dabbing her eyes. Kids growing up and all. Mom nodded and hugged us. If only you really knew Mother. My father returned shortly after, without Harmony, and joined the other pack leaders in a corner. Where is that Weasley little snake? Princess Ellie. I turned to face Alex. What do you want? He grasped my hand and stared into my eyes. I am so sorry. For all of this. For all of what? I know that you love me and I made it with your sister. Nope. Nope. You can stop right there. What? I pulled my hand away from his. You mating with her is quite literally the best thing that ever happened to me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What? His sad face changing. Yeah, best thing to happen to me. You see, I thought you were everything. The best wolf. So bad. I thought we were soulmates. Oh, I was so wrong. I didn't really love you like I thought I did. I thought you were everything. Nope. So wrong. Meeting Edmund was the best thing to ever happen. Finding my true mate. That was the best thing. You were just a mistake that was thankfully corrected. I was going to say that you know part of me. Nope. Don't even say it. Loves you. You know. I turned and started to walk away from him. Go find your mate. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You cannot speak to me like this. I'm your alpha. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You need to stop. You're not my alpha. You're not my mate. I've put up with you and Harmony being entitled and downright cruel for long enough. You do not love me. There is no part of you that can possibly love me. You are mated to Harmony. Find her. I'm honestly just over this bullshit. Leave me in peace. He stared mouth agape as I just walked away. The rest of the night went off without a hitch. Not that there was much of a night left. As the musicians packed up and the bar shut down, we snuck off to our suite. Happy to finally have alone time. Real alone time. The room was warm and dark when we entered. A trolley with champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries was parked in the middle of the living space. Oh, what is this? Edmund asked, feigning surprise. How thought of someone to just happen to have this brought to us? I laughed as he popped the cork. He held it up as if asking if I wanted some. I nodded. A knock on the door followed by a flurry of women came barging in. What the what? Edmund asked, standing there as they surrounded me. The dress. Prince Edmund. Must take the dress. It has to be cleaned and stored in the vault as soon as possible. Right now, though. Do beg pardon. Sir, as fine. Honey, I don't want it ruined. Oh, okay. He watched as they quickly unlaced and removed the beautiful old gown, leaving me standing in just my slip. Your turn. Quickly surrounding him and stripping him out of the ceremonial garb. As they scurried away as quickly as they showed up, he stood there with his mouth hanging open in his boxers and a t-shirt. That was something. Well, I'm going to put on something that's not a slip. I laughed. I mean, if you want to just stay in that, I won't complain. Oh no, not at all. He shook his head, staring at me. I suppose I could stay in this for a little bit. I winked, taking the glass of champagne. He moved toward me, a wild hunger in his eyes. A look I had never seen before. He pulled the t-shirt over his head and grasped me around the waist, pulling my body into his. I could feel the heat off his body even through the slip. I feel like I've waited a lifetime for this moment. He breathed into my mouth before closing the gap. I let out a small whine as he picked me up and carried me to our bed. He laid me down, drinking me in with his eyes before he led me, pinning my arms above my head and kissing me deeply. Chapter 33. I didn't sleep. I didn't want the night to end and dreaded as the sun slowly climbed in the horizon. The night was bittersweet, and this was the absolute perfect moment. I rolled over in bed and stared at Edmund as he slept. His chest rose and fell slowly. I reached over and brushed the hair out of his face, just watching him. It's not polite to stare. His eyes still closed. Then don't be so damn handsome. He opened one eye and smiled at me. Nice bedhead. I laughed lightly. It kind of has a mind of its own. I love it. Can we just stay here forever? I wish. But we do have to get up. Soon. Soon. Do we have time to? I waggled my eyebrows at him. A devilish smile crossed his lips. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He sat up and pounced on me. We spent as much time rolling around in the bed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Touching, and being as intimate as we could be until a knock at our bedroom door. Yes, Edmund called out, panting. Sir, your breakfast is in the living space. You can just leave it. I have a message from the king. The voice called Doug. Edmund got up, grabbed a pair of his lounge pants, and went for the door. What? I heard whispers followed by Edmund sighing heavily. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Please be sure Beta Alistair and his mate are made aware, and to meet us here in 20 minutes. He shut the door and turned to look at me. We have to hurry. Why, what happened? I propped myself up on my elbows, the sheet slipping down the front of my body. There was another attack. What, where? I sat upright. Apparently everywhere. What do you mean everywhere? These creatures, whatever they are, aren't stupid. They executed coordinated attacks late in the night in every Pax territory. What? They're locking down all of the territories, so we have to get into the Black Paw Howlers' territory before the guards close off our roads. Shit. I jumped out of bed and pulled on a t-shirt and leggings while scrambling for my boots. Edmund shoved clothes into a backpack while I did the same. We hurriedly drank a cup of coffee while scarfing down a breakfast sandwich. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Ashley called while knocking on the door. Come in. What is going on? I was told to pack and be here. We have to leave now. I thought we weren't going until later, Alistair said. That was before the coordinated attacks last night, Edmund answered. What? To where agent extraordinaire, Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Across all of the packs, we have to go before the roads are shut down. We grabbed our packs and hurried to King Orsan's office. He had the sword and bow sitting on his desk, ready for us. Good. You got the message. Andrew is waiting for you at the stables. Stables? Ashley asked. I nodded. We can't take cars where we're going. I have to ride a horse. Yes, King Orsan replied. The Black Paw Howler's pack is not like the rest of us. They're a bit more primitive, okay? I can do this. I've never ridden a horse before, but I'm a quick learner. Here are the sword and bow, he said, handing them to me and Edmund. Please, be careful. What about you? Edmund asked. Will you and Mom be okay? Don't worry about us. We will be fine. You too. Make sure you are safe. You are the future of our kind. He nodded and hugged the king. Orsan looked to me and kissed my forehead. I wiped a tear off my cheek as we left the office. My dear, Queen Amelia said before hugging Edmund. I love you. Be safe. My prince. I love you too. Mom, he held her tight. Once they released each other, she cupped my cheek and smiled at me. I love you, my princess. I love you, I whispered as she kissed my cheek. Be safe, all of you. We will, Edmund said as we turned to leave. The stables were large and beautiful. They were part of the old castle that was still utilized. The stable boy brought 4 gorgeous horses from their stalls. Edmund took the reins to a large black stallion. A gold and blue saddle rested on his massive back. I was handed the reins of an equally large white mare, my saddle matching Edmund's. We have the same saddle. My parents have matching saddles too. A weird thing that they do. Not weird. I think it's cute. Alistair and Darcy were handed reins to beautiful chestnut stallions. Are you ready? Andrew asked, walking from another stall with his own black stallion. His was much larger than all as though. He looked like something that death itself would ride. He stomped her hoof and snorted like a large, angry dragon. What is that? Ashley asked. Andrew patted the horse's neck and smiled at him. This is Drogo. To my agent extraordinaire, Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. That's his name. Our horses are bred to be large and intimidating. It helps going into battle. He put a foot into the stirrup and swung himself up. Let's hurry. We followed suit and swung onto our horses, except for Ashley. She somehow ended up sitting backward on hers. What are you doing? I asked her. I have no idea. I've never done this before. How did I end up looking at his ass? This isn't right. Right. Alistair shook his head and chuckled. How do I turn around on this thing? The stable boy ran to her and held onto the reins as she finagled her way to facing the right direction. To my agent extraordinaire, Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This is right. She grasped the reins as we trotted in the direction of the tree line. Halfway across the meadow, the horses broke into a gallop as we rushed to get to the Black Paw Howler's town. We rode for hours it seemed. Everything looked the same along the way. To my agent extraordinaire, Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Grass. To my agent extraordinaire, Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It didn't take long for Winter Lake to vanish behind us as we climbed the mountain, before cresting the top and descending into a protected valley. We're almost there. Andrew called to us. Our village is Atom. Tu es agent extraordinaire, my heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I can't see anything, Edmund said. That's the point. We keep it camouflaged. Had I not known that the village was at the bottom of the mountain, I never would have noticed it. The entrance was blocked by trees. There was space enough for a horse to fit through. Beyond the line of trees was a gate covered in ivy. What the Edmund gasped as the gate creaked open. We followed Andrew in, surprised at the old-fashioned little village. A few shops and stores lined a very primitive cobblestone road with side streets leading to little cottages. Andrew led us further into the town to a large house at the end of the main street. The inhabitants of the village stopped and stared at us as we rode through. Whispering amongst them, they didn't seem very friendly. "Who are you?" A young boy shouted from the large steps house. "Why are you with my father?" "Shane." "Fetch your mother." The boy narrowed his eyes before running into the house. "He's not used to others coming into the village. You have a son?" "I have 3 sons and a daughter. Shane is the youngest." "To my agent extraordinaire, my heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Intimidating woman emerged from the house. Her auburn hair hung in a long braid. She smiled out at as we slid from our steeds. "And Gandhi. They came. They are here." "Good. I'll gather the warriors to the training grounds." She turned and vanished into the house. "Training grounds?" Now Ashley asked. "Yes, there is no time to waste." "Is the battle happening tomorrow?" "We don't know," Edmund said, pulling his bags of the horse's saddle off. I slung the bow over my body and followed Andrew. We just rode horses for hours. "And we're going right into training, yes?" "Stop complaining," Alistair said, following close behind us. "You wanted to come. We train." She sighed heavily and hurried to catch up. We led the horses to the back of the house to a small stable that was adjacent to a large arena. In the center of the arena were dummies and various obstacles. A group of men and were emerging from cottages beyond the arena. They were dressed head to toe in black, similar to Andrew. "These are the mightiest warriors in our pack. While your training with us will be brief, you'll at least be a little prepared to battle whatever we may face." Edmund asked. "Yes, we will be fighting alongside you." He nodded and put the bags down. "Let's get started then." We followed Andrew into the arena, where he introduced us to the dozen or so people. We were broken off into groups and jumped right into the basics of warfare. The 5 people I worked with seemed to be the experts on bows and arrows. They showed me the various parts of Queen Diana's bow and how to shoot it. I hoped that Artemis was right and my inner goddess and wolf would be able to give me an advantage. I looked around as Edmund had already moved on to learning different ways to strike at the dummies. Ashley and Alistair worked with another group that seemed to be using a combination of weapons. "To my agent extraordinaire, my heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Princess Eleanor, do you think you're ready to try to shoot?" "I suppose I should try. Let me see your bow. I want to make sure the bowstring is strong." A tall woman held out her hand for the weapon. I handed it over as she looked it over. Her eyes grew wide examining it. "This is old." I nodded. "Very old." I nodded again. "Where did you get this?" "Long story. I don't think this type of tree even exists anymore. I have never seen this type of wood. The notch is quite unique. Is it made of gold?" Perhaps." "And the string looks unique." She held the bow close to her face to get a closer look. "Is the string hair? Silver hair? Is this your hair?" "No, not my hair. Where did it come from?" She asked again, looking at me. "It was found in the relic section of the vault in Winterlake." The woman closed her eyes slowly before looking up at me. You didn't find Queen Diana's long, lost bow, did you? You know of it. It is a weapon that should be here. This should be my weapon. You can use my old one now. That is mine. This weapon should be in the hands of a master, not some princess, no. That is mine. I repeated. Well, take this to Andrew. He will decide. I'm pretty sure as princess of the entire realm, I outranked Andrew. But yes, let's go discuss with him. She turned her nose up and stomped away to Andrew, with the bow. I watched as she waved her arms around, yelling something. They both returned. He was carrying the ancient relic. I will be removing Samantha from this particular group. Chris, please take over lessons. He handed me the bow. Forgive her insolence. Majesty. Oh, no worries. Thank you for clearing things up. Samantha stomped away, yelling about princesses getting everything. I rolled my eyes as I turned to Chris. So, Chris, shall we continue? Oh, yeah. So let's get practicing on shooting targets. I listened as he instructed on how to knock the arrow and draw back. I closed my eyes, focusing on everything I knew about the bow, how to draw back, and trying to channel Queen Diana. If she was a daughter of Artemis and I am a daughter of Artemis, we should have some kind of connection. I felt a cold chill come over my body as I saw the shimmering form of a beautiful woman standing beside me. She smiled and wrapped her arms around me, guiding my hands on the bow before releasing the arrow. I am with you, I heard in my mind. I will guide you. I watched as the arrow hits enter target. Wow, that was great. Do you want to try again? Chris asked. I nodded. He handed me another bow, and I watched as the woman guided my hands and arms yet again. Are you Diana? She nodded her head. Her silver hair flowed about it, almost weightless like it was weightless. We drew back the arrow, releasing it at just the right point. I watched as it once again hits enter target. Incredible. You are a natural. Keep practicing. We'll move on to hand 2, hand combat in just a bit. I nodded and watched as Diana stayed with me. Will you always be here? No, child. But I will help for as long as I can. Why is this happening? I asked her. The hatred that Hera has for Artemis transcends just her. She feels that she must destroy everything that Artemis loves. As Diana nodded her head. She has a particular hatred for us. Us as in me and you. She nodded her head again. We are the product of the pure love that Artemis has for us. I was the daughter of Artemis and her one love Orion before he became the stars. You're her legit daughter. I am, but you are as well. You were chosen to lead our kind to this difficult time, and your prince, he was also chosen. He was, yes, it is no mistake that you two are mates. Your Prince Edmund is my King Alfred. And Mother's Orion. Wait, are we just the reincarnations of Artemis and Orion? In a way, yes. We are not them, but we are the essence of their love for one another, the purest of loves. That is really romantic and sad. I picked up another arrow as she helped me knock and release. Each arrow hitting center target. Oh, guys. So do you think that Hera is influencing the people around Ellie to be complete battles? Could Hera be possessing those within the protective field of the wolf realm? If you're enjoying the story, be sure to like, comment, and share to your friends. Chapter 3 Typhoon. The week surprisingly went by without much incident. Samantha did as she was instructed and never interacted with me. Even though I did catch her attempting to flirt with Edmund. Perhaps it was because we were mated, but I wasn't even mad about it. It was more amusing than anything. Cool Edmund though. He looked so uncomfortable and confused. Diana never left me. She stayed through all of the training and throughout the evening. She had such a sad, sorrowful aura about her. I couldn't figure out why. I wanted to ask, But how do you ask someone who's supposed to be dead what's wrong with them? Everyone must have noticed that the week was quiet. We sat at dinner done night, not really talking. Most people just ate or pushed their food around while glancing around nervously. There was no reason for us to be nervous. I sipped at the beef stew, watching Edmund. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. And Alistair. None of them even looked up from their supper. I knew it was too quiet. The doors to the massive cafeteria where the warriors all ate together blew open. Red water-covered man stumbled in. "PR, Prince Edmund," he called out. Edmund stood up so quickly his chair fell backward, landing with a loud thud behind him. "Why, your mother?" She sees he couldn't finish his sentence before he started crying. "My mother? She what? What's wrong with my mother?" he yelled, running to the man. "There was an attack. Your Majesty. The castle was swarmed. Your father fought them valiantly, but your mother was injured." He sighed heavily before stumbling back. "But she's alive." "Yes, Majesty. She is alive but badly injured." "Where is she?" "They retreated to the tunnels." "The tunnels? What tunnels?" "In the ancient part of the castle. There were tunnels built in case a quick escape was needed." "Where do they lead?" Edmund questioned. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm." Andrew said, standing up. "Follow me." We followed him to a shed behind the stables. It was unassuming and I thought it was just for tools or something. He opened the door and pulled a shelf that was on hinges away from the wall, revealing a hidden door. He pulled a keyring from his belt and stuck an old bronze skeleton key into the keyhole. The ancient lock screeched as he unlocked the door. We entered the musty, dusty old tunnel and started walking along the passage. After an hour of walking, we ran into the group of survivors. King Urs and had Queen Amelia in his arms. Her breathing was shallow and staggered. The shirt she wore was soaked in red water and a tear in the fabric on her stomach revealed a deep wound. "Queen Amelia, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm." "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm." "She's fine. She's just passed out." "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm." Phil moved forward, no longer in his butler suit. "What happened?" "We were ambushed. We had our guard up, but there were just too many of them. I attempted to fight off as many as I could. I believe I managed to kill at least 10 of them before we had to flee." "What happened to the Queen?" "She was hurt. One of those things had a weapon." "A weapon?" They'd never used weapons before. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbay, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm." "Are they evolving?" "That's awful quick to evolve, isn't it?" Alistair asked. "Normally, yes. But we don't know what these things are." "Is the end of the tunnel sealed?" Andrew asked. Phil looked behind him and then back at Andrew. "Are the tunnels sealed?" I might not have hit the switch." We all stared down the dark and tunnel as loud screams came from the black NESSS. "Shit." "Yes, shit is an accurate term. We need to get out of the tunnel now. Hurry." Andrew turned and ran toward the black porthole entrance. "Dad, are you okay?" Edmund asked. "Just a bit tired. Let me." Alistair stepped forward and held his hands out for the Queen. "You've carried her a great length. I can carry her the rest of the way." King Orson looked at his Queen sadly before handing her over to the beta. "Thank you." Alistair nodded as the rest of the group ran along the passage, led by just a torch and Andrew. The screams seemed to grow closer no matter how fast we ran. Perhaps it was my imagination, but I thought I felt breath on my neck. That's not possible. They're not here yet. We reached the door before we were overtaken by the creatures and managed to escape. Edmund slammed the door shut and Andrew quickly locked it. That won't hold them, Ashley said. Not for long, but hopefully long enough for us to get our warriors in place to battle. I will fight alongside you. It has been a while since I've battled. Dad, no. Yes, Edmund. Majesty, I agree with the prince. If anything were to happen to you, the kingdom would fall. Plus the queen needs you. King also looked at Andrew, then at the rest of us. What kind of king doesn't go to battle? A king who has a son that is going to battle, Edmund said, grasping his father's shoulder. Please, stay with Mum. I can't stand by. You're not. You're keeping the queen safe. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. King Ors and pursed his lips and paced around a bit. The screeches of the creatures grew louder and louder before they were right on the other side of the door. How fast are those things? They're here, Ashley said, tears welling in her eyes. There's no time to argue anymore. Dad, go with Mom to protect her. We will fight those things down here. It's time this ends. Now, okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I will go with Amelia. Edmund, be careful. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Stay safe. I love you both. Orson turned and followed Alistair and Angela to the house at the end of the street. Is my mom and dad okay? Is it just Winterlake under attack? Retrieve your weapons. Andrew shouted to the warriors who had emerged from the cafeteria. Battle is upon us. Edmund and I ran to where the weapons were kept to retrieve the sword of Apollo and the bow of Artemis. He found the sword, but my bow was missing. Fucking Samantha. Where's my bow? She smirked as she ran past me. Oh well. I could feel heat as Diana's soft golden glow turned red. Oh. I watched as she reached out her hands and sent a blast of light towards Samantha. What the hell is that? As the light hit her in the back, Samantha flew forward. Unharmed for the most part, but she dropped the bow and lay motionless for a moment. What happened? Edmund asked. She took the bow of Artemis, and then tripped. I picked up the bow and stepped over Samantha as she groaned on the ground. No time to sleep, Samantha. We rushed to the shed and waited. Waiting for the creatures to breach the door and for the battle to finally commence. Chapter 35. Edmund and I stood beside Andrew in front of the shed, waiting. I gripped the bow, Diana beside me. Be calm. I'm here with you. Edmund looked over at me, raising an eyebrow. Could he hear her too? I didn't have time to think about it. The door creaked against the weight of the creatures, throwing themselves at it. I glanced at the warriors behind us as they jumped slightly when the door began to give. They're nervous. I swallowed hard and tried to calm the thudding of my heart. It's okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We're going to be okay. I looked at Edmund. He smiled weakly at me. You don't look so sure. I am. Promise. At least one of us is sure. The creatures continued throwing themselves at the door. You could see it bowing at the hinges. It swelled as the wood took the brunt of the force. The splintering started in the center and slowly spitted out to the sides as they gave out to the assault on it. Ashley stood behind me. Her breathing grew heavier, mirroring a sob from the sounds of it. The door cracked as long, White fingers breached the hole as unearthly shrieks filled the air. "Stand your ground," Andrew hollered to his warriors. "Remember your training." The creatures pulled at their wood until they were able to squeeze their bodies out. The eyes glowed red as saliva hung from their lips. They seemed ravenous and crazed, but these ones didn't look like the one that attacked at Silver Peak. These ones looked like us, smaller in stature, weaker almost. "Are they human?" Edmund questioned. "What? But how?" Alistair asked, raising his sword. "Talk later. Fight now," Andrew commanded. I no-ked the arrow and released it, watching as it made contact with the target. The creature fell backward, laying still on the ground. A wild shriek erupted from the rest as they rushed in a frenzy toward us. Edmund stepped forward, meeting the creature and its razor, sharp nails with Apollo's sword. The sharp blade sliced through the pale white flesh easily. Crimson-red water flowed from the wound, soaking the blue shirt it wore. "These aren't just creatures. What are these? Worry about that later. We have to survive right now." Diana reached into the quiver with me, pulling another arrow. The creature that was focused on me was close, almost too close. I let loose the arrow and quickly pulled another as the second creature was right behind. I had no time to shoot and opted to ram the silver tip into the neck of my attacker. The red water spilled onto my hands, covering the front of me. The creatures breached our lines and attacked. Warriors fought back, slicing and stabbing as the shrieks of the damned attempted to kill us. The horde seemed to be never ending. For every 5 we killed, it looked as though 10 more would emerge from the tunnels. "How many are there?" Ashley asked. "I can't keep this up." "We're getting overwhelmed," Alistair shouted to Andrew. "We need to retreat." I looked around at the carnage before me. Warriors and creatures alike lay in red watery heaps across the area. Andrew nodded, sweat pouring from his brow, mixing with the red water from those he slew. "Retreat. To the meeting house," he yelled. Those of us who remained quickly turned around toward one of the largest buildings in the small village. Once the last warrior was inside, we barricaded the doors. The shrieks surrounded the building as they began battering the door. "We need to find more weapons and clean up our wounds. There's a first aid kit in the back," a young boy said, running to a long hallway. "Why are there so many?" I don't know. To my agent extraordinaire, lineage.丨heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Sitting down. "I can't keep this up," Ashley said, collapsing next to me. "I don't think any of us can. We need a plan. We need to figure something out. We need Artemis." I mumbled. "Are you sure?" I looked around me at the tired and injured. Nodding, I stood. "I guess this is a secret that's about to come out to the secret pack." I closed my eyes, breathing heavily, focusing on Artemis. I could feel the cold heat of her growing within me. As the strange feeling overwhelmed my body, I opened my eyes to darkness. The abyss that I saw before. What happened? Artemis? They're being attacked. Diana. How did you? I don't know. She appeared when I started to train with her bow. Fascinating. You're attached to the weapon. We can figure all of that out later. Right now, we need help. What happened? They're attacking. There are so many. Artemis took a deep breath and nodded. Can you help? I can't, but I can help you. How? I will have to take over your body, temporarily. Is that okay? I nodded. She smiled, and the abyss faded. When the light broke through, I saw everyone staring at me. To my agent extraordinaire, lineage.丨heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Edmund asked. I'm here. Are you ready? Yes. The world grew fuzzy as I was pushed to the back and Artemis took over my body. I could see what was happening, but I had no control over anything. It was as though I was just taking up space in my mind. Her blue light grew brighter around my body, changing me. My red watery clothes were replaced with a long, white gown. My silver hair was golden and swirled about my body. Artemis' body. Artemis walked toward the doors, opening them as those behind her screamed to stop. The creatures quickly rushed into the building, overtaking everything. Artemis raised my arms into the air, and a breeze picked up inside, swirling around. Blue light emanated from my fingertips as Artemis called on her power. She let loose a powerful blast of light throughout the room, decimating the creatures. She walked further outside with my body, shooting out the blue beam of light at the attackers within the village. What we fought to do, while getting hurt and dying, she accomplished in a few short minutes. As the last one vanished into a poof of dust, she released her hold on me. The golden hair changed back to my silver, but her white gown remained. What the hell was that? Edmund asked. That was Artemis. That was her taking over my body. To where agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. How long has she been able to do that? Ashley questioned. The warriors whispered amongst themselves, staring at me as though I were some freak of nature. Perhaps I was, but at least we were alive. That wasn't the end of it, I said softly. How do you know? Alice. I don't know. I can just feel them. They're more. We need to head back to Winter Lake. What? No, Ashley. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can stay here and help the Queen. Mom, Edmund said, remembering his injured mother. Let's go see her. We hurried to the house where she rested, entering the room as the village physicians examined her. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. There is nothing else that can be done. Edmund stepped forward, watching as his mother struggled to breath. Watching as her chest rose and fell for the last time. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.